How's it going, folks? Whoa. How are you? My name's Matthew, aka EZBOT, and we're back with another live stream. Today I'm going to go a little bit out of my comfort zone and try some stuff that I haven't really tried before. Um, Namely, using song mode with odd time signatures in a format that kind of reminds me a bit of the layout with song structure on the OPXY, which I think is a strange way to do things, and also a bit of the M8 tracker. And let me explain to you what the process is here. And I'm going to go through this like a tutorial. So I'm going to talk through all these concepts. So if you're new to Digitone 2 or the Digitact, this will help you get familiar with that device and also help you try something that maybe you haven't tried on the device yet. Namely, song mode and odd time signatures, and how to incorporate true polymetric patterns into your music, and the setup that goes into that. So here's the idea. This is the experiment. I haven't tried the experiment out yet, so I'm literally trying it out right now. This will be the first time going with this. The experiment is this, and this is why we need to use the song mode for this, is that each pattern is going to represent a certain space and time in the song. So think about our patterns like it's an arrangement. So pattern 1 will be the intro. Pattern 2 might be the first part of a verse. Pattern 3 might be the second part of a verse. Pattern 4 might be the third part of a verse and or a pre-chorus or something like that. Pattern 4, so on and so forth until we have a full song. The idea is to not have any patterns repeat. So every single segment that I work on, I want to have it be unique and not sound like the first one. While I'm going to be doing the same structure you would do on any typical Electron workflow, which is where you write out your pattern and then you copy your pattern. Once you're finished a fleshed out pattern, you go to the next pattern and you paste that pattern and you start iterating from that pattern. And that's the typical workflow in Electron. And that is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to do that, but we're not going to have any of the patterns. Of course, we don't want any of our patterns to be the same anyway, but the idea is that we don't want the patterns to be designed in a way that they're meant to repeat. So if I have an intro pattern, the intro pattern is only going to play one time, and then maybe it'll have a drum fill that leads into the next part of the pattern. Now, this could blow up in my face and not go very well, or it could turn out to be awesome, and maybe I'll incorporate it into my own live performance and song workflow on the Electron boxes. One of the issues that you run into in the Electron song mode realm is that song mode lets you do some really cool stuff, right? Song mode lets you prepare mutes. Say you wanted to work in a global mute setting, song mode would let you prepare mutes on upcoming patterns. And in the Octatrack, for instance, song mode is the only way to have pattern mutes as opposed to global mutes. It not only does that, but it lets you decide that maybe you only want a pattern to play for half the length of a pattern. That's something cool that song mode can do. Song mode can also loop half the length of a pattern for as many times as you want it to do. That's something you can't do in the regular pattern modes. It also mutes MIDI channels, which is cool for you. That's another advantage. And it allows you to set tempo per pattern, which is something it does already, but you can use it in a musical sense, in an automated musical sense. You could have a halftime pattern if you wanted to throw in there that, plays at the appropriate time rather than like jumping into a halftime pattern randomly throughout your performance, which maybe, could sound great, but also could not sound great. So there's some cool stuff that you can do with that, using your different tempos with like putting a lot of energy into delays and stuff like that can have some really great effect. That's not really how we're going to focus on it. Right now, we're just going to use song mode to play through the patterns that we make on the Digitone. And we're going to be doing it on Digitone 2 and not using the Digitact, even though it is prepared to do that. But we're just going to do it on the one box so that we can focus on, something. I just don't want the scope to get too large, if that makes sense. So hopefully you understand the premise for the stream, and I'm going to be trying to accomplish this goal and hoping that it turns into something musical. I don't know. But let me also describe a little bit about the foundation of how this is going to get started. Okay, so here we are looking at our Digitone 2. As I said, I wanted to do this in an odd time signature. So what I've done is I've already set up all of my tracks, track scale to be a pattern length of 56 steps. Now I can go in here and adjust this, but what that ends up being is 7/8. So we're going to be working in 7/8 time. That in itself can have its own, difficulties. Working in odd time signatures is, I think, very helpful at making music sound much more interesting, but it makes programming the music a little bit more difficult at times. We're going to also have some hand-holding coming from our scale modes. So if I hold function and press the keyboard, we go into our keyboard scale setup. Now, usually in the past, this didn't apply to your note input outside of the keyboard. There's a few ways that you can use this scale input. We can hold record and hit play, or record and stop, I'm sorry. If we go record, stop, we can go into step record standard, and then we can hold down the keyboard button and then press a note, and it will log that note into our step. That's one way that we can use the keyboard and our scale modes, right? So that will keep us constrained to the notes within our scale. Another way of doing it is to just go into your scale mode and hold record and hit play and live record notes in. And then lastly, the last in the way that we're going to be doing it mostly here is that I'm going to be placing notes in. And when you have a scale mode selected, like we do here, we're doing, it's a minor scale, G minor, so G Aeolian scale. What you can do when you have this set up this way is you can put a note in, and then you can push down on your trig, and it will only let you select notes from the scale that you've chosen in your keyboard. Very convenient, okay? So this makes it very easy for us to stay within our scale. And so what we're gonna kind of do is make, something a little bit more melodic and electro-inspired, and that's the plan for today. 7/8, make songs in song mode, only use one pattern once, no repeating the pattern, write the patterns, thinking in that fashion, and use the scale mode to make it very easy for us to come up with melodic patterns, and then try and put it together and see what we come up with. That's the whole premise. So before we get started with that, let me do a little brief self-promo and say hello. If you're ever interested in getting Electron private lessons or anything like that, you can visit EZBOT.live and book sessions with me, but you can also visit my Patreon, that's patreon.com/EZBOT, and sign up for 2 different private lesson tiers, one for 1 hour a month and one for 2 hours a month. So if you're interested in that, you should check it out. Also, we have some awesome live shows coming up that I think you should check out. And I'm throwing this at the beginning of the stream so that I get the most eyes on it, hopefully. We got a show here in Portland coming up, and a show in Seattle at the end of the month as well. So make sure you come and hang out. These are live hardware electronic music shows. All right, here we are. Back to our Digitone 2. And I guess let's get started. Like I said, I've already set up my patterns to be in a track scaling of 56 steps. I've also set my reset to be infinity. And let me explain to you why you would use reset infinity as opposed to using, this used to be called master in the other boxes on the Octatrack and the Rhythm and the Analog 4 and on the Digitect 1 and Digitone 1. This is called master, not reset. And what this does is it counts, and no matter what you have your other pattern scales set to, it will reset to the beginning of the pattern at the end of the number here. When you set this value to infinity, your reset is just going to be this value. Your track scale is just going to always count to the number you have set to your track length, and then it will reset at the end of that. So we can have all our tracks be wildly independent when we have the reset set at infinity. What you do want to do to keep your music cohesive and still moving forward in, a classical music sense, like where or the way that you would anticipate these boxes would work, like say I want to go to pattern 2, and if I'm working in 56 steps or 7/8, then I want it to go to pattern 2 at the end of my 7/8 pattern, right? That's where change comes into play. We have our change set to the maximum length that we want our patterns to be. We could double this if we want. It would still work the same. We just, need to use multiples of 7. So some of our patterns are going to be in 7. If we want to have actually polymetric patterns, we can program some of these patterns to be outside of our 7/8 scaling. Like we could do 4/4 if we wanted, and that will actually sound stranger than 4/4 usually sounds because everything else might be moving in 7/8. That's polymetric. So if you want to set up polymetric, the best way to do that is to leave your reset at infinity and set yourself up with a change length and use your truly independent track scaling in this fashion. So that's how this is all going to function, and that's what we're going to do moving forward. As I said, I pre-programmed all of the patterns to already have this set up for us in this way, and I've also picked out some sounds that I thought sounded decent. I like smaller sounds, not really heavy, distorted sounds, so I often find myself picking some similar sounds every time. And, you know, that's okay. I have my sound that I like, and so here's the sounds that I picked for us to work with. And of course, they're all going to be changed and modified in some way. These are presets. I have all my drums up top, as I usually do on these now 16 track boxes, and I have all of my melodic content on the bottom. So it's like kick, second kick. We got like a rim shot type snare, a clicky perk sound, a more classic drum and bass style snare. We got a hi-hat, closed hat, almost like a shaker / open hat. You never know, it's all FM stuff. And then we got a cymbal sound. Down here, we have this interesting formant wave table sounding bass. I doubt it's really a wave table that's being used, but just sounds cool. And we have a classic bass sound. And when I talk, I know it ducks these sounds, so maybe you weren't able to hear them very well. This is kind of what to me sounds like a very pulse width square wave, but not being modulated much, just the pulse width being adjusted a bit. And then we have that grand piano patch that's really popular in the Digitone too in here, because it is a really cool sounding patch. I don't know if I want it to be bouncing around the stereo field every time I hit a note. Maybe I'll leave it that way because it is a very dynamic sound. It's, it's cool to have it work that way. The other 3 tracks I don't have assigned to anything, because I do want to do some of my own programming here. I like to use presets. I mean, I think we all like to have a good start off point, but I also, designing songs from scratch on the Digitone is a really good time. That's what makes this device so cool. And just so you know, because I always have to address this, I'm going to go back and forth calling Digitone between Digitone and Digitone and Digitact and Digitact, because I have been calling them those 2 different names over and over and been corrected for 6 years on this YouTube channel about which way to say it. And I'm just going to say it both ways. How about that? All right, so let's get started on this project. And hopefully it's helpful for you to learn the Digitone 2 a little bit better, and hopefully it helps you learn how to do some more melodic inspired content with this device and work in polymetric patterns as well as odd time signatures, and use the song mode eventually when we get to the end. All right, here we are. What do I want to start with? So, it's really good when we're working in 7 and 8, in 7/8, since we don't need to have these complex patterns. I'm actually just gonna start with this kick drum, I think, or maybe actually we could start with this piano, and maybe we could even make 2 of these piano tracks and just make this be like a really, really melodic song, which is what I'm going for, honestly. This is not going to be any techno or house or anything here. It's very much electronica, very much what's already in my wheelhouse, using kind of generative ideas and what have you. Digitone, what's up, M. Dwyer? Yeah, actually, I'm going to copy this sound. I'm going to hold track, hit copy, and just paste it right into the next track. And we'll use both of these. So we'll go to this track, and we'll change its scaling length. Right now it is set at 56 steps, right? Because that's what I had everything set to. We don't need it to be set at 56 steps. Let's just move it down to 7. And then maybe, get this hair out of here, we'll have this one set at, I don't know, 14. To keep it at the 7/8 scaling. And We're on pattern 2 on purpose, instead of using pattern 1 as my first pattern to work with, because I actually want this to be kind of a meat and potatoes pattern, and then pattern 1 is going to be my intro pattern, which could be like half the length of this pattern if I want it. Maybe it'll just be a bunch of chord sounds with a lot of attack on them, just like, you know, doing that vacuum sucking sound right into the beginning of the pattern. I don't know. That was one of the thoughts that I had here. Okay, so we are going to take advantage of using our tracks, our scale that we have set to it, our Aeolian G minor scale. Let's program some notes. We could, as I mentioned before, use our step record standard. This is kind of a cool way to get some stuff going, because you just choose the note you want, then you hit the keyboard and you go, I want that one. I want that one. I want that one. You can go down in octaves here. And this is where we're at so far. And I actually really like it. I guess I had a kick drum in there. Somewhere. Where is it? There it is. Let's go to this track, which has the same grand piano type sound, and we'll do something similar. We're not going to be like trying to tweak things super hard. Our goal is to have the Digitone help us write our track with these rules that we've set prior to going into our project. Actually kind of like working in the step record mode. This sounds really good already. Alright, now I'm gonna add like a kick snare pattern to this, and I'm gonna use really short amounts of steps to do that. So let's go down to 7 for our kick. Or no, we'll go to 14 for the kick, and 7 for our snare sound. Or no, this is the second kick. We'll use 8, do some polymetric stuff. Where was our snare? I think it was on 5. Yeah. So for our snare, what we're gonna do is go down to 14. Okay. Let's do our second kick, and we'll just like low pass it and kind of make it bounce. We'll use this filter for low pass. We may revisit this one. It's got a little bit more thump than I wanted it to have. But it's not the worst thing. This one has less thump than I wanted to have. Maybe I could have switched those around. I think the levels are good for everybody. Let's go over to the snare and see what we can get here. And I believe I have a hat on here. Let's see. Make this short as well. maybe move these around the stereo field a little bit. Put these hats on the left. If I was sitting at a drum kit, my hat would be on the left because I'm right-handed. And I often like to follow those rules because it's familiar for me. Let's see if we can do like an open hat type sound. Maybe we could even do it. It's actually working out pretty well. And once you have like when you put some like polymetric stuff in there, you can go into your trig mode and just start applying probability to tracks. And you'll get some really, really wonky stuff there, especially with odd time signature patterns, because it's already a dance in your head to try and keep up with what's going on in general, but you add that probability in there and then you really are just being thrown for a loop in such a fun way musically. Okay, I'm gonna edit my reverb and delay. So right now I'm making the reverb and delay much bigger, much wider in the stereo field. Here's my reverb. Also adjusting the filter tank on the reverb. I should also do that for my delay as well. My snare. I want the snare to be a bit louder. These are supposed to act as ghost notes. My snares would be my accents, basically, my accented notes. We can move these around the stereo field too. It's a really fun thing to do, I think. I like to kind of even it out though. Okay, now we are going to use the full 56 steps to design a more static sounding bass note to go along with this that I think would kind of like pull all these patterns together. You know what also I think could be good is maybe if we put this piano a little bit on the left and this piano a little on the right. I like this. I kind of want to add, I might add a couple notes to this step through the note edit. Really quiet on the lower notes. Let's add some dynamics to these hi-hats too, because they're just a little plain, and maybe give them some space. And of course, we still are missing that bass. I keep talking about I want to add bass. I should do that. I think I have something here. Let's see what we think of this. Yeah, let's see what we come up with. We could use this retrig. We could even see what it sounds like to throw like a triplet in here by setting this to a triplet amount and the length to 7 to 112. Okay, see if we can hear how well we can hear this. So that's a triplet going across 7 steps. It's a little hard to tell. Maybe if we offset it. Maybe it needs to be a higher note. If I push down, it will stay in scale. That's kind of cool. We have it on the 1. Do we want it on the 1 or just off? Or on here, but micro-timed. That does sound good, but it also, there's something messy about it. Would it just be better to have it here and not micro-timed? Go 7, so we want to be on 14. Where's the next one? Gonna be... I think it's there that I want. And maybe only have it played for 3.5. Oh, that's kind of nice. Or little track effects in there every now and then. Maybe I don't want to use these triplets right now. Maybe I'm just like overextending myself when I need to focus on the other parts of the pattern. I do like the 3.5 though. That's kind of cool. A little too crazy. I think because triplets are polyrhythmic, and I think this odd time beat with the polymetric idea plus the polyrhythmic idea is a little overwhelming for me to listen to. It's a fun exercise to play with that idea, but I think ultimately it's getting in the way of me like getting anything done here. So I'd rather play with like longer notes in segments of 7 perhaps. So we just set this to 7. And make sure that this has that sustain. And let's see. Nice. That is better. Seven. And then we'll go 7 to... Well, should work here too, I guess. We'll set it up so that we duck these notes or something. Maybe we have like a swelling pad in the background. Is that too many of the notes at the same time? Am I using all of my voices? Sounds like I am. This is where a sampler is really useful because you don't have to worry about voices, you just resample. I thought about doing this project on the Digitect, and I think I would probably have less limitations, but I really enjoy the Digitone a lot. Because you can just change every sound so dramatically with very low effort to get a new sound out of FM and the drum engine. Maybe we use, like, don't want it there. Maybe not so many notes. Do we have any more in there? No, we don't. I can see right there. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is nice. We'll just have it open the filter a little faster. We'll have it give some delay so that we can have the notes carry on. Maybe we want this to be twice as long. So 112. Yeah. It's so smart. Note edit. Nice. This should be actually emphasizing 3, 5, and 8, I think. Maybe we'll just do 3 and 5. want to do here. Maybe on 14. Maybe on 14. Here it will be on 7. Not sure if I'm a big fan of that sound exactly, but okay, so here's a quick idea. This just popped in my head. I was like, okay, now we can start with a copy paste. I want to flesh this pattern out a little bit more, but maybe I don't need to. I mean, this is really, we're trying to figure out if this workflow is feasible, right? Not exactly trying to, our goal is to make music, but our goal isn't just to make music. It's also to explore and find out, does this workflow work for me? And can I use this more in the future? So far, the results are good, and this is just us sticking to a scale and sticking to an odd time signature and trying to give everything some room to play. And, paying attention to 7/8, groups of 7, groups of 14, groups of 56, stuff like that. And being aware of, gate length, 3.5, 7, 1, of course. But there's something we can also play with. The Digitone has modulation, right? So we can hold, track plus transpose. Or no, I want pattern transpose. So we can play with that already, and that was pretty cool. So let's see what happens if we do this. So if I take this pattern, we go to the next pattern, and we copy that pattern. So now it's the same pattern, but on this pattern, we use pattern transpose. We take it up a fifth. We can take it up a fifth. Or 7 semitones. I like taking it up 5 semitones. I think it sounds really musical. Here's what it will sound like. This actually works pretty well. And this reminds me a bit of the song mode layout in this wonky, strange machine that I continue to have a love-hate relationship with. Just like I do with everything else these guys make. But it has like all the, song mode-esque stuff that you can do, because it's really meant to be a song mode type device, which I appreciate. I like that. That's what I love about the M8 tracker, is song mode is very natural for me. Writing patterns is really natural for playing more of an improv style tunes. Like improv techno is great with just having patterns that have this constant evolving nature to them, and then you kind of improvise filter cutoff and volumes and mutes and such. And then song mode's really great for making songs, as opposed to patterns for performance. It's a completely different mindset that I think you have to be in. And I'm trying to be, okay, so this is a stretch for me. This is why this is something I had never done before, like trying to use song mode in this way. I've used song mode before. I did, the launch video for song mode for the digiboxes for Electron. So I'm very familiar with it. I've done tutorials on it. I've been teaching it for a while. The point is that I never use it myself. And I want to use it because it's a cool feature, but I was like, how would I use it that is more interesting to me as somebody who's very familiar with Electron, who already feels very comfortable just moving through patterns naturally. I was like, what if I treat each pattern as a moment in time that never repeats. And that idea stuck with me. I was up late. I was polishing up a couple of tracks I have on here, and because I'm trying to build out my set, and I've got like one finished song in it, two finished songs on the mate, so I have 3 songs of my new set, and then I have like three starter songs that I've done on these live streams, and I was just sitting up there, just messing around, you know, tuning stuff up, turning compressors on and off, and seeing how this compressor sounds, or should I use a master compressor, or should I use the compressor on the box? So just going through all this, you know, mental turmoil that you go through at 1 in the morning, everyone's asleep in your house, and you're working on music. And it just dawned on me to try and approach using song mode in that fashion to that nothing repeats. And I was like, that could make some really interesting music that way. So when we go to each pattern, I don't want to have the same melody ever. Like maybe some, you know, I want the same timbre and the same key to exist, but I don't want the melody to stay the same. I want it to be that as the song progresses, nothing is the same, but it was all programmed with some sort of intentionality, even using the guardrails that the Digitone has to offer. And that's the goal here. And so far, that's where we're at. So we can do it in different ways. We can either program new sounds directly on another pattern, copy, paste, adjust, move stuff around, which is my preferred method and most likely what we'll do. But we can also use the transpose feature that we just did, which sounded like this. And it's the exact same pattern, but 5 semitones higher on all the sounds. You know what I don't know if I remember exactly is if you can, I think you can, pattern transpose config. Here's what we do. So we don't want our kicks, we don't want any of our drums to get transposed. Let's see how that sounds now. Yes. So we need to adjust all the drum patterns for this new melodic pattern from the transpose. So now all the drums are the same. Let me show you what I just did. So this is what we had before. Function setup. You go into your pattern transpose config. This is how it was set up. So we have pattern 1, and you hold pattern and you can transpose a pattern up. So this pattern, we held pattern, you can see it happening right here. You hold pattern, hit the plus buttons, it transposes everything on the pattern, right? So you can do this separately on a track basis too, which is cool for live performance, especially if you're familiar with some sort of music theory, at least a little bit. Or I think if you have this locked to scale that it should do that work for you. I'm not sure. I haven't played with it enough. But if we keep the config set up in a way that prevents the drums from also being transposed, i.e. removing these tracks, which are all drum tracks for me when I do music on the Digitone, and keep our melodic stuff, the stuff that actually gets transposed, we come up with this. In fact, we can even use song mode now to just demonstrate it. 2 patterns, we're going from pattern 1 to pattern 2, and this should not be 128, this should be 56. And this should be 56. And this should be at 110. And this should be at 110. What's up with these mutes being decided already? Okay. Oh, it's and I'm chosen A. We want this to actually be C. Da, da, da. C1 and C2. Oh, it's actually C2 and C3. Genius. And this is how song mode can help us. Did it ignore my transpose? Oh, is transpose no longer active? There we go. Okay. All right, here we go. Here's where we're at so far. And the song will end. Or actually it'll loop because it's set to loop. And this is the idea. So if we wanted, at this point, we could go and take this pattern, go to pattern 1, paste that pattern, but we could like remove these drums, all these drum tracks, and just have them be like a drum fill at the end. Yeah. Okay. Take the bass out of here too. Can leave that, I guess. Okay, clear that. Here we go. We're gonna make a little intro. Something like that. We want to do it at the very last part of the pattern. Just make this 56 steps long. And, where's the 56th step? Let's find it. Oh my God. Take me to the last page. Okay, ends on step 8. So we can go like, we could even just use a retrig and have a velocity fade, but bring the volume all the way down. Check this out. Okay, pay attention to this really quick. Let's redo this. Let's talk about this really fast. Say you want to have a drum fill that like is just a, it's a straight fill. And it's really nice to not have it be like but to have it have a little bit of end, like a silence at the end. That part's bonus. But what I want to talk about is what you want to do in this situation. The volume fade uses the velocity as its value for bringing up the volume. So I put a trigger down, I believe it does, and I bring my velocity all the way down. And we go into our trig mode, we turn retrig on, and we bring velocity fade up to its max value. And I set this to the length I want it to be. We'll have it go for 7 steps, which will give us 1 step of silence at the end. And let's see what rate we want it at. We could try and do a triplet rate. Let's just jump straight to this page and... Aha! That's pretty cool. Okay. Let's just listen to our song mode really quick. And maybe even... What was our... This is our bass notes, right? Maybe we'll go doo-doo-doo. Something like that. Let's go to the last page. Page 4. And go... All right, let's see what happens. Song mode. Back to song mode. And let's add a new row. And this row will be pattern 1. And it will play for 4 bars. Why does it keep changing my tempo? Please, Lord. Please, Octalord, grant me serenity. Intro to our song so far. Here we go. Yes! That totally worked. Right into the modulation. 5 semitones up. Which I don't know if we should keep. Maybe we should just program some notes. I just wanted to demonstrate that you could do that. Let's hear it one more time. Let's let it do its loop again. Because this is cool. Bum, bum, bum. I love that. Sick. Okay. This does have it has this. Is it this one? I don't think we want that in our intro. Or I want it to be something different. Maybe I just don't want it at all. Get out of here. Here we go. This is our intro. Oh, we should have a crash when he comes in. Indeed, we should. Okay, let's go to track 8, which has my symbol on it. Just needs to be... It should be the length of the... Yeah, 56 is a good idea. It's really shrill sounding. Maybe we just... make it a little quieter. Some dynamics and give it some delay or something. Like, let's see how it turned out. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, goddamn, we gotta do the thing. Let's do the song mode thing. I don't know if I like this symbol, to be honest. Maybe we try and adjust it, make it our own. I don't mind the transient. I think it's the body that I don't like. Might sound nice with a little attack on it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's much more tolerable. Okay. I want to hear a drum fill there now. 2. I want drum fills everywhere. Let's go back here. So at the end of this one, this is the, okay. This is the advantage of this workflow over your typical pattern workflow where you're just going from playing on a pattern and tweaking knobs versus writing out segments of music, is that now I can hear that I really want to put a little drum change in here, and that's how I'm going to arrange it. So at the end of this pattern, I want my snare pattern, which is this one. We could even play with... Is it this one? No. It's, I don't even know. I don't even know. Oh, there it is. 5 and 12, which is which works. Okay, so what we do is we'd have to make this the actual length that it needs to be. Or we use the change the pattern fill condition, which is an automated fill, which I haven't played with, and I don't know if it actually applies to song mode. So let's see what happens if we do that. Whoops. I had it in 14, right? Okay, so what we could do is just go like this and change the trig condition to last. Oh, whoops. To, yeah, last. Let's see. Maybe give them some different dynamics too. And this one even shorter. Copy that. Oh no, we don't need to copy it. Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. We can put it here too. All right, let's see what happens if we do this in song mode. I have never tested this out. Go through the whole thing one more time. Bitman, I do private lessons. What's going on? Did that last one not get the trig condition? Why does it keep continuing to be triggered over and over again? That's whack. Don't play if last is working? Is that a bug? You know what? I'm just going to program it manually. Here we go. We're going to 56. Okay. That copied well, which should end on the 8. Okay, good. Maybe we do like a retrig here. Velocity faded up. Take that velocity, bring it down first. Go all the way up. But only for 2 steps. And then copy, put it here instead. So it should just be 1, 2, these 2 steps. And then this should be silence. And this should be a single hit. Okay. Be cool if an LFO modulated that over time. And that is in the effects section. That was bitrate reduction. Right? Is that what I was playing with? I was playing with sample rate reduction. We will have it trigger only on this note. We're triggered by this note, the phase of the LFO, re-triggered. And bring this value all the way down. Maybe we want to start it a little bit higher. No delay. Yeah, pattern. No, not pattern, song 1. That works. Makes it is a little bit of a magic trick, isn't it? It works out really well. I don't know if I want to do the modulation idea, so I think I'm going to get rid of the modulation and we're going to program some new stuff. So, starting with these piano sounds. And now for this one. Oh, beautiful. Oh, dissonance. Give some delay. Have that one hit the high end a bit. And let's go to our... maybe we could leave the bass. I don't want that in there. Change how that sounds entirely. Oops. Cool. Yeah, actually I want to copy that, I think. And where was the next part? Here. Paste it here. Also note edit. Whoa! Is my scale not applied? Hold on a sec. Should only be able to hit notes in the scale. One of these I screwed up that. Yeah, there shouldn't be an A and an A sharp. I don't know. Is there? Oh my goodness. Are we still doing the modulation? No. Hold on. Okay. G sharp shouldn't be in there. Personalize. Note parameter scale. Note parameter chord. Huh? Note parameter. Oh, chromatic. I'm an idiot. Note parameter scale. That is what I want. So why does it seem like it's not... Why is it going chromatic? Put a new note in first? I guess we'll have to do it ourselves. It's very disappointing. Hang on. Let's go here and copy this. Paste it. And we want to select this track, fix this. There we go. I'm such a fool. I forgot that pressing down is how you go into chromatic, and just turning the knob is how you change this. I'm just like, I was like, why is this happening to me? Let's hear what this sounds like now. That's kind of cool. It's definitely an interesting sound. I don't know why that was so difficult for me with the chromatic and the scale mode. It's so easy to have things just flipped around in your brain, you know what I mean? What's up, Mike G? It's definitely a good time for me to say hello and address the company that's not sponsoring us, LaCrizzlement, aka LaCroix, or LaCroix. The crack. Coconut definitely is still the best flavor. Still looking for that sponsorship. Hook it up. Stuff costs me a lot of money. I buy a lot of this stuff. I'm telling you, it'd be invaluable if they sponsored me. It would save me so much money. It'd be like getting a full paycheck every month. Whatever those look like. It's been a long time. How's everybody doing? Thanks for hanging out and joining me on the stream. Today we've been talking about working in polymetric scales, odd time signatures using song mode, and approaching the Digitone, essentially electron sequencer, more like a tracker and more like the OPXY's workflow, which is a very weird one, but on Electron very easy to understand. And I'm also getting more familiar with some new features on the Digitone that I haven't played with very much, like the transpose, pattern transpose, and track transpose. They're features that I've been aware of their existence and functionality, but haven't used very much musically in my own music. And so it's cool to have dabbled in that a bit. And I think that so like we were doing a little bit of science here, right? We had a theory, and then now we were testing the theory, and now we understand the theory. Our theory was that if we write each pattern and create every pattern as a segment in the song, and we just don't have them repeat, that we can build out a song from scratch and get more intimate with every moment in the track. That was our theory. So far, we've made 3 patterns there, and the theory has been proven. What would we call that? It was where's the science majors to tell me exactly how we would describe that? Dark Eyes Presents. Love your jam. Thanks. Appreciate the tip. Appreciate you. This would be a good time to let people know that I do have you can subscribe not via Patreon as well to this channel, which helps fund, me being able to focus more on doing live stream and doing more live streams if I knew that they were reaching more people and could also help generate some sort of income for myself so that I can spend more time teaching and focusing on this. You can subscribe on this channel. There's a subscription tier. I think it's only like $3. And what it does is prioritizes your questions in the chat. So if I'm doing a demonstration and you have a question, it's hard for me to see or to pay attention to certain questions because there's a lot of chat going on between people chatting. And so what it does is when you chat, it lets me know that you're chatting and I pay attention to it closer and I get to answer your questions. So something to consider if you're interested in that. Again, I'll also mention someone brought up lessons. I'm totally available for lessons. You just cracked a tangerine open? Congratulations. The tangerine LaCroix? I would say that's a good one. I think the limoncello. I think the flavorless. Then it goes coconut. My favorite's flavorless because I just like the flavor. I'm not huge on bright flavors, let's call it that way. I go flavorless, and then we go coconut, and then we go limoncello, and then everything else is kind of in the same tier after that for me when it comes to sparkling water. I do really like Polar, though. I should consider trying to get them to sponsor me. They're never going to sponsor me. Who's going to sponsor me? Nobody wants to sponsor the Electron person? The Electron nerd? Do I not? Am I not good enough for you? Oh, I did a thing. What the hell? Hang on a sec. Okay, so I set a goal. I've never done this before in my stream. And so if I hit the goal, which is 10 people doing super chats or whatever, I'm trying to make this as interactive and fun as possible. If I hit the goal, I'm going to randomly select somebody from the chat to receive a free Electron riser. These are primo. We make these. Me and my buddy Jordo make these. Let me tell you a little bit about how cool these risers are. For one, it's what I use for all my shows. This is why my Octatrack sits above here. I just use this one. We call this the Ergo design. And what I like about it, what I really like about it is that it's just flat. It keeps the unit flat, which is nice for my hands. If it's at an angle like this, you see people play with like a push 3 live show. They angle the push 3 so the audience can see it, but it's also ergonomic for the performer. Their hands are tilted down. It doesn't hurt your wrists. You don't want to be like this playing music? That sucks. So that's what the angled stands do. Everybody loves the angled stands, but to me, I'm like, that's not how I work. Like, I work like this, you know, hands down. So I like these ones, but they're really nice. They're beautifully constructed. We use a really nice filament. We source these pads that we put underneath them. Even the screw, these are thumb screws, like Bafako Knurly screws. I had made custom for these. They are expensive as hell. Each one of these screws is like almost 40 cents. It's ridiculous. And we do heat set inserts, and they're compatible with deck savers and all other lids. They connect to each other via this little section here, so you can stack them together. And we recently made polyend ones, and we're making a deluge one as well, but I haven't put the polyend ones on the website. Anyhow, if you want to get your hands on one of these, if we achieve the super chat thing or whatever, I'll give one of these away. But otherwise, you can visit modbang.com. I made these with my buddy Jordan for Electron boxes, among some other stuff, and they work splendidly. They come apart, pack them in your gig bag, they become very small. That's what most people do. They use them at the shows. They just unscrew them with a thumb screw, throw them in their bag. Everything I do, hardware, electronic music. That's what it's all about. We're even, I believe we're going to be starting a new hardware electronic music show in collaboration with, I don't even know how to say it, but it's electric candy essentially, but they have a name in French that means electric candy. Les Bombes on Electrique or something like that. With them in Kansas City. So another Modbang there, and we have another Modbang event, live hardware exclusively, no computers allowed events. So people are really encouraged to bring out their Electron boxes, M8 trackers, polyend trackers, Deluge, modular synths, all that kind of stuff. And like go and play shows on this like even playing ground where everybody's just doing hardware and programming. And I think that's really cool because it feels very competitive as a hardware producer when you're playing with DJs who have these really well produced songs that have full-on mastering chains, have been through mastering, and they're performing a track that's been mastered. That's unfair advantage when you're playing live PA stuff, live hardware. So that's what the Modbang events are all about, is about this, you know, reducing that advantage and having everybody make music on the same playing ground so that we can really appreciate people's skill at programming and sound design. And that's what I love, you know, that's the stuff I'm attracted to. So if you're also into that, you should check out the Modbang events, and you can go to modbang.com/events and see that we're expanding to 4 states. If you're also interested in becoming, what would we call that? An advocate, an emissary for Modbang in your state, reach out to mod@modbang.com and we can set up a video call and chat about that. This has been a long break from us making music, which is something we have to do because these streams are 2 hours long and we're 1 hour into it and I hadn't stopped yet. But we should get back to it. We did run into an issue because I thought that pushing down on the encoder was going to put me in scale, but it's actually the other way around. It's chromatic when you push down. And I've known that because I've told people that. It's just like, no matter what I know and tell people to do, my brain still betrays me. It's a bummer. Whoa, that's the dig attack. All right, I'm gonna remake this pattern that we did. Pattern 3. It turns out I don't like it. Going back here, copy this pattern, pattern 3, pasting. But we don't need that symbol anymore. Get rid of that. Now let's go back down to these notes, now that we know this pattern. I guess we can keep that one because that did sound nice where it was. Maybe. That's down a semitone. Something. Let me get rid of the bass for a second. It's this. Just clear that. Live record. We also don't want that snare roll at the end because maybe we'll make a trig condition for this one and say only play, you know, one of every 3 times. Since it's repeating so many times. It's repeating 7 times. Or, no, it's repeating, how many times is it repeating? 3.5, something? That's definitely better sounding. Move these here. Oh yeah, let's throw that in. Yes. Okay. Let's go back to pattern 2 and go to this end of the pattern. And I want to I want this kick to go for all 56, I think. And then at the very end of the kick, because I just don't want a kick here, I don't think. And I also don't want this to do that either, so we'll also do 56. Whoops. Here. Let's take these out for that last measure. Frick. Did I really screw that up? Did I do that for the kick drum? Okay, no, I did that right. Let's move that there. And I want the hi-hats. We're on pattern 2, right? Yeah. I want the hi-hats on the last bar to not play either. And same for this one. But we did want the snare to do its thing, right? I don't know if I really like how it sounded. That one's really loud. Really loud there. All right, let's hear it. There's still something happening. What's happening on that page? Let me just loop the whole thing, right? I like that better. let's have a listen to our song so far now. Yes. That was really good. I do think the first pattern needs a little bit more energy. Like as it's going into that next one, that maybe like something pulling it in. Maybe a note, like a note slide somewhere. Where can we do that? We have some other tracks I haven't played. Whoa. Enough of that. Let's bring that down. Alright. And we'll go just right across here for 7 steps, right to the very end. Track length 7, or trig length 7. And we want it to go up to maybe here. So let's copy this. Portamento. Too much? Cool. That's a little louder than I wanted it to be. Filter, frequency, rig. What good does that do me? That filter. Kind of like, you know, I like where my head's at. Maybe we put a note in that's... But then we just have the note be silent. Just to give it the portamento slide. All right, now we move on to another pattern. We copy this one, go here, paste it. Now we can edit from there. So here's our song so far, which we've demonstrated that this technique is sick. I'm not gonna lie, this is really cool. Using odd time, then using the scale, then using the song mode to put this stuff together is a really cool workflow. Like this is coming together for me in a way that is very inspiring and makes me want to play with more algorithmic stuff. We could even use the Euclidean sequencer here if we wanted. I don't prefer to. I mean, it's great for just like throwing some data on your sequencer really quick that is rhythmic. So, I mean, that is good, I guess, for getting some drum programming going. I don't like this chord sound. Where is it? Is it? Yeah. I don't like the chord. Definitely like that better. Oh my goodness. That was way better. What's this? Oh, I realized because I made this track scale 112 that I didn't make the song mode match that for the scaling of this track. So this should be 112. Okay. Well, let's have a listen and see how it sounds. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Problem with that is that the way I designed the drums to drop out in that moment before it goes to the next pattern is that it's now designed around half the amount of bars that we were working in before. We went from 112, went from 56, 8 bars of 7 to 14 bars of 7. Right? No, 16 bars of 7. I'm losing my mind over here. So we need to adjust that on this pattern. Which means we need to make our snare pattern twice as long. So to 112. And then on the right track here? Okay, we copy this one and it goes here. That's cool. Cymbal track now has to be 112. Oh no, it doesn't. Okay. Alright, let's hear how it sounds. Whoops. No. Song mode. Song 1. This is the process. Look at this lovely gear. Kind of tricks you that something's gonna happen there, but there we go. That needs to go for twice as long now, too. Oh, man. Does it? Is it still doing a roll on 4? It is. Right, and that one note, that this right here, this can get deleted and double the page length and lock it into this. Oh no. Lock it into this page. There we go. Okay, I think we fixed it. Yep. Okay, now we have to listen again to song mode. And let's copy this and go to pattern 5. Paste it. And quickly do some sort of melodic change to these notes as well. Yeah, it's nice. Maybe we'll throw some rolls on these hats or something. my god, god. That sounds really good. I'll put that there. Okay, let's go into the song mode editor. Throw another one down, and this is pattern 4. And why are you at the wrong BPM? Yellow. Let's listen to our song, shall we? Can you vary the high notes in bars 2 and 2 and 4? Hold on a second here. I thought that I changed the note. Is it pattern 5? Oh, I'm a fool. I'm a fool. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What is pattern 4 and 5? Are they the same? Then what's pattern 5? Well, then why did I do that? Oh, wait, hang on. These aren't supposed to be identical patterns. Yeah, we can vary the high notes on patterns 2 and 4. Well, we can definitely vary the high notes on pattern 4 because it's the same as pattern 3. We don't want that. It can't be the same. That's the rule. Let's go to those notes. Make a new pattern even. Maybe we can make like some like, we could use the arpeggiator. What happened? Oh my god. That's wonderful. Oh, 14. I guess they're already set up that way. Oops, 4, 3. Shit. All right, I want to hear the song. My favorite part is listening to the song. Oh, the tempos. Give me that shit. Stop changing tempo. Actually, a nice little break, like the one that's naturally happening when it repeats, would be nice. So maybe we make a copy of that, and we go pattern 6. Pattern 6 can be a copy of this pattern, and we'll adjust that. Actually, maybe that should happen in between these. Or in between that pattern. Okay, let's see. Pattern 5. Let's copy pattern 5 and put it on pattern 7 for a second. Go to pattern 6. Copy pattern 6. Put it on pattern 5. Paste that. And then put pattern 7 on pattern 6, paste that, and go back to pattern 7 and delete that. There we go. Go back into our song mode should reflect that now as well. Where's our mute? I think that maybe every pattern should be 56 steps long. Maybe this 112 doesn't work. What? Damn it. We get all the way to the end. All the way to the end, and I don't have it set on the right pattern. Let's just listen to it from these three right here. Yes. Okay, I think we need to shorten this pattern back to just 112, back to 56. Because it just doesn't work the way I want it to. Which means I gotta go in and do some adjustments to the pattern. Yes. So it turned out pretty sick. It's a pretty good workflow. This mouse would ever work. This mouse never works. This mouse is from hell. Somebody had a question. Somebody had a question. Right here. Let me see. How do I do that? Trying to answer your question. Hey man, how would I... Where's that question? Okay. How would I do basic volume with the OT without resampling or using scenes with fader, amp gain, individual parameter locks? I'm guessing. Thanks. Okay, so here's how I would, in my opinion, on the Octatrack, if you want to adjust dynamics. Sorry, it took me a while to see your question. I was so deep in the music production. If you want to adjust dynamics on the Octatrack and on any of the Electron boxes, your track level should be used as your overall volume always, right? You want to adjust, you want to be able to make dynamic... Chair sank. You want to be able to make, I hope that's, I'm recording this, so I'm glad that's in there. You want to be able to make dynamic changes on your sequencer and be able to adjust them all at the same time. Or keep their dynamics across the sequencer. So you lock in amp values. You suspected you lock in individual parameters, lock each step with its own amp volume so you can build your own dynamics on a per step level on the Octatrack. That's how you do it. You only get the one volume. On the Digitone, you get velocity and stuff like that, which is useful, but velocity just controls the amp volume on the OT. Does that answer your question? How do I do basic volume with the OT without resampling or using scenes with the fader? You want to have individual gain on a per step or on a track level. Because if it's on a track level, it's just using the track level encoder. And I highly recommend you pick up a controller that works with it. What's cool is that you can pick up a controller like this one, which I have not even tried yet, but you could pick up a controller like this and send CC61 on one of your MIDI channels, and it should make it so that this controller reflects the same values that your Octatrack controller reflects. Not that it's going to do relative messages or anything like that, it's just that what you see here will be what the Octatrack reflects, and that's nice for controlling track levels. Or get a launch control or something. Launch control's got a template that you can download for the Octatrack that it comes with. Hopefully, if that didn't answer your question, let me know, because that's what I'm trying to do. Thanks for answering. Okay, sounds good, really good. Okay, cool. I got it. Right. Off topic, but since I have you live, can you justify Analog Rhythm Mark II for cost and in 2025 thinking of pulling trigger? Absolutely. Absolutely. Analog Rhythm Mark II is one of the best drum machines ever made. maybe the best. Might be the best drum machine ever created. Currently, in my opinion. The only reason I don't use it on my streams often, I have a Mark 1, is because of the size of the unit. It's just too big and it doesn't have pattern mutes, and that's such a huge part of my workflow that I just have been like, I can get a lot of the same sounds or I can sample them onto my Digitact, and I'm also just way more into samplers than I am into synthesizers. Like, I love synths. I own a bunch of synthesizers, but I own way more samplers than I own synthesizers. And my Rhythm Mark 1 doesn't sample, and I don't want to get a Mark 2 because it's like almost $2,000. But if you didn't have a Mark 2 and you love sampling and you love synthesis and you love finger drumming, I do love finger drumming, then yeah, Mark 2 Rhythm is absolutely dope. You could find them used for amazing deals. And they really are one of the best designed with the scenes, the performance macros. There's a million tricks on that box. Like, that's something that I really like about Electron devices in general, is that like maybe it doesn't have a feature, like you're like, it doesn't have this feature and you're frustrated, but it has enough of the tools for you to kind of like make the feature exist, especially on the Octatrack. But the Rhythm also falls in the same category. It has a lot of features on it that you can kind of like trick it into doing stuff, like pattern mutes, for instance, on the Rhythm. Something that that makes me not use the unit. What you can do is you just copy your kit and have your tracks have their volumes, your second kit have the volumes at 0, and you manually bring the volumes up, which is a nice sounding thing to do anyway, during especially live. But maybe you like the idea of the immediacy of unmuting. That can be a little frustrating. That's not something you get to do on the Rhythm without, the copy kit and the volume thing to have it emulate what the Digitact does. But there's always a workaround, right? That workaround exists to make it function in the same fashion that the Digitac and the Digitone and the Syntact function. And that's what's great about Electron boxes, and why I love using them, because they always have all the features. Not to knock, I'm going to knock a little bit, but not to knock super hard, but like, the reason why everybody got so excited about this machine, let's just talk about workflow stuff for a sec and stuff. The reason why people got so excited to see Teenage Engineering turn this machine into what it is now is because they wanted this to have a step sequencer to begin with. They wanted MIDI data. Everybody wanted MIDI data. But something that they omit on purpose, and did omit, especially on the OP1 original and the OP1 field, is this to not have two filter envelopes. Like, it was built into the synth engines, maybe, and you couldn't control it very well. But here we actually get two filter envelopes and different filter types. But again, they make this decision to only give you a single LFO. It makes no sense. The CPU in here is incredibly powerful. Now, in Electron, that won't be a thing. On the Deluge, that's not a thing. On the M8 Tracker, that's not a thing. If there's room in the CPU for a feature that should exist for a music production, like a feature that's music production essential, like modulation sources, they're going to throw it in there. And that's my only knock for Teenage Engineering. But that's what Electron does. If there's space for it, at some point they're going to throw it in the firmware. Of course, there's going to be delays between that, not just because of the programming, but also they got to keep you excited about the unit. We'll throw that feature in at the end of the year kind of situation, even though it's probably ready today. Like, that's just how, consumerism works. And companies got to stay afloat. But I would say the Rhythm is, number one. I'd still get a Digitac 2 before I got one, personally, because I think the Digitac 2 is just a more useful tool in general. The Rhythm has its own timbre. Digitac doesn't have its own timbre. It's every timbre. And I think having every timbre is more useful than having that, but that's a Matt thing, Just curious, for those of you who have been hanging out for the stream during the this conceptual stream, does this workflow that I showed off seem useful to you, working in odd time with pattern scale mode being set to infinity, and using keyboard scale as well as the song mode and just writing single patterns? I think it's a fun way to approach the unit, but I'm curious if other people think that is a cool workflow for yourself. I'm going to continue to do this, I think, a little bit more. Super useful to get it down and to muck about. Thank you for the feedback. I think so too. I think it's always good to dive into and mess around with a feature that you haven't touched much. And just quickly, like, just to, you know, sum up our progress here. We made 6 patterns. We have an intro pattern, which is just this luscious piano sound. Thanks, Harry. I think the drums maybe should cut out during the arpeggio. And something bigger should happen here. This is obviously, like, we still have a lot more work to do to flesh this out, but I feel like we are somewhere. And I believe what it is continuing on with where we are here. The highest energy level. Copy paste that one here. And change the melody a bit, especially with this one. Stay a little dissonant. Even that alone should be quite a bit, but let's just like move these kicks around. Or use 2 versions of the kick. One plays when one doesn't. How about, yeah. Play on 1 of 3. And then we'll do don't play on 1 of 3. That'll work. I love that they included the now play, don't play on all of those. There was a trick to do it before where you'd use another trig condition and then have it, that trig condition make the other trig condition not function. That was an annoying workflow. We'll scoot these out. If we want to kind of change this up a little bit too, we can just rotate the pattern. Hold function, use the arrows, and we can rotate it around. Just copy and move some steps around. Just to give us some variations. Maybe even shrink this down. Song edit for another row down. 120 again, of course. Look at that. I know why it's doing 120, and that's because the pattern's set to 120. It's just copying over the pattern values. It's my fault. Doesn't have to be that way. Maybe we do a new bass note. Where is it? It is the 8. Let's go 7 steps. Song. Let's listen to just from here on. Our little break. I could add a noise sweep in there because the Digitone can do noise sweeps, which I think would be really useful. That was cool. That was actually really nice. On this track, I believe. Let's pan them too. Now let's glitch it out a little bit. Should we put a noise sweep in there? That'd actually be really cool. Let's try it out. Let's pick a track for a noise sweep. I think we'll use the FM drum for that because it's really easy. And noise. Turn off the body. And we want it to be writing music is a lot of work. noise sweep should be a lot longer. The noise sweep. The noise sweep works, but it's not long enough. Don't you think? I think so. Let's save the project. Easy set 2. Cool. I hope that was an instructional stream for you and that you learned a lot. I hope that you learned about retrigs, a little bit about microtiming here and there, song mode. That's 3 things. Also polymetrics, pattern scaling, using chords and programming notes, working in odd times like 7/8, and using this workflow concept where each pattern is only meant to play the one time. And so it's more like working through arrangement in Ableton or Bitwig. I think that's a cool workflow. I work really well in the linear workflow. That's like what makes sense to me because that's what I grew up doing, naturally writing, playing guitar, singing, or songwriter stuff is you're writing to the end of the song as opposed to a lot of electronic music, especially in this pattern-based loop scenario. You end up in these loops that go forever. They don't really have that many changes happening, and even though they sound good, it's still like way more pleasing to hear the song evolve, I don't know, in a more complex fashion, even if it's just every now and then, or even small amounts, just to have things have some more intention to them as opposed to feeling like it's on a rail. That being said, we did use rails to move through this. Like, we stuck to this 7/8 format. We rarely went into polymetric territory, but we did a little bit. And we used the keyboard scale, G minor scale, and it worked really well. G minor is a really fun scale to play, and it just sounds good. I mean, all the minor scales are really fun to play with, but cool. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned a lot. And if you want to learn more from me directly, even though you saw me make some mistakes and have to learn some stuff myself here, but I know a lot about this Electron stuff. If you want to learn more from me directly, you can visit patreon.com/EZBOT and sign up for one of the tiers that is the private lessons tier. Alternatively, you can go to EZBOT.live and get lessons that way. Also, if you want to get performance templates like the ones that I make for the Octatrack, or just get some general help, you can visit Patreon or coffee.com and get these templates, which are really fun. Lastly, stands. Get the stands from modbang.com. We make these ourselves. Everything is designed by me and Jordo, including the screws that go in them, and they're modular and they fit together. We have all different types of these for Electron boxes, among other synthesizers. That's the end of the commercial. I have to do it because, you know, diapers, right? Diapers are expensive. This has been a really good time. So thank you everybody for hanging out. We do these streams every single week, live hardware, electronic music with me and sometimes guests if I can get them to jump in. And I'll do it again next week. And I might even try and do it again this week. I'd like to do it multiple times a week if I can. We didn't hit our goal to give away a free riser, sadly. Maybe we'll try again this week and see what happens. If we can get more super chats, and then I'll give away some Modbang stuff. I got MIDI cables, 5-foot MIDI cables. I got all sorts of goodies that I can give away that people would really enjoy. And I would like to have that be a more fun experience. This is a really good time for me. It's extremely social for me, and one of the best times for me during my week, besides the sound check, which is the weekly meetup that we do on Patreon. Something for you also to check out. But thank you everybody for hanging out, and hope I was helpful. I'll see you on the next live stream. keep working on this one.